Howdy, welcome back to my channel. Ever since the first Fallout game, the protagonist has been accompanied by a trusty sidearm, the 10mm pistol. And when you start to think about that, it's kind of an odd choice. 10mm isn't a particularly popular round in the real world, and for a game set in the United States, you may expect something like 9mm or 45 to have been the pick instead. For this video, we'll be going through the history of 10mm weapons through the whole Fallout series, and speculating on reasons as to why 10mm was chosen over other rounds. But before we go any further, I just want to say thank you for watching the video. That's pretty cool of you. Stick around, maybe there's something here you like. I think we should start with the 1986 FBI Miami shootout. Now you might think it's a bit of an odd place to start, but bear with me please. In April 11th of 1986, there was a shootout between field agents of the FBI and two armed men. In the aftermath of that shootout, the FBI considered the weapons it had on hand to be subpar, mainly its handguns. At the time, chambered at 9mm. As a stopgap measure, they started to issue rounds that are a little hotter, but they would also immediately begin looking for a replacement to their 9mm handguns. The basic criteria they came up with was they needed something with more stopping power, so it had to be larger than a 9mm. However, there was also concerns about capacity, so they would seek a round that was between their current 9mm and potentially a 45 caliber, settling ultimately on a variant to 40 caliber Smith & Wesson, which was called 10mm Auto. The FBI would adopt the Smith & Wesson 1076 model, chambered in this new 10mm Auto in 1993. Now, what I'm about to say is purely speculation. I don't believe the original creators of Fallout have ever spoken as to why they actually chose 10mm. If there's any interviews that exist, I haven't seen them. I don't believe that Mr. Timothy Cain has posted a video on his channel about it, and looking through the Fallout Bible, the only mention of 10mm I could find is to why the description of the weapon mentions a magazine, but the weapon itself has a cylinder and is a revolver-style weapon. So what comes next is purely speculation. Warning now, we're dipping into the realm of Apocrypha. If we were to put ourselves in the shoes of those developers in 1997, why might they have chosen 10mm over another style of round? In Fallout 1, the player starts their journey with a 10mm pistol, meaning it had to come from inside the vault. Now, inside of a vault, you couldn't have your entire population running around armed to the teeth. That would be an idea they would recycle later in New Vegas. But right now, any firearms that were inside the vault would have to have come from some sort of policing force. Running with the idea that the character is going to start with some style of police gun from inside the vault, what sort of weapons would the developers be looking at in the real world to model the 10mm on in game? I believe we have our answer from earlier. The FBI and their SWAT teams, the premier police force, if let's be frank, the entire world at the time, was issuing their agents with 10mm auto weapons. Perhaps this serves as inspiration for the round being adopted in the first Fallout game. I'd like to also note that in that very same year, in 1997, the FBI would again update their sidearm to be a Glock 22 40 caliber Smith & Wesson. Perhaps if the development of the original Fallout was pushed back a single year, we may be walking around with 40 caliber pistols rather than 10mm ones. We can't know for certain, but there's not really a lot of other places where 10mm was ever adopted outside of law enforcement. This may be a reason as to why it was chosen for this series. Also, 10mm is just kind of a weird round. When I stop and ponder, I can't think about many other video games where 10mm is a featured round. Sure, every game has a 9mm, but Fallout has its own pistol, a 10mm, and you've never heard of that before. And with that, we're going to go ahead and end the speculation for this episode, along with the background information for 10mm in the video games. Next episode, we'll be looking at all the 10mm weapons in the original Fallout, perhaps Fallout 2 if we have time. I'd like to thank you again for watching the video, and with that, I guess all that's left to say is, I'll see you later now.